Chapter 1. The Arrival. Dr. Lyra Ven'kash prided herself on two things: precision and control. As the chief medical officer aboard the Erethon research station, orbiting the crystalline planet Zifra, she had treated every species imaginable: silicate-based, gas-based, even beings that existed in multiple dimensions at once. Humans, however, had always been an object of mild amusement. "They're fragile," she would often tell her colleagues. "They can't handle physical trauma. Even minor pain sends them into hysteria. Treating one is like handling a child. Not that it matters. We're the caregivers here, the superior intellects." Her confidence was shattered the day Captain Thomas Kade arrived. He had been selected for the Interstellar Observation Program, a volunteer mission for human-alien cooperation, and as the only human aboard the station, he was naturally under Dr. Ven'kash's care. From the moment he stepped off the transport pod, Lyra scrutinized him. He was average by human standards, slightly taller than most, lean, a network of muscles honed by decades of outdoor survival training, but she saw nothing remarkable. "You'll undergo a full medical evaluation," she said, her tone icy. "Any failure to comply will be noted." Thomas smiled politely, unaware of the subtle disdain radiating from the alien doctor. "Of course. I'm ready for whatever tests you need." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "Ready? Humans never said that." Chapter 2. The tests begin. The first days aboard Erethon were routine. Thomas underwent scans, neurological assessments, and blood work. Lyra noted that, unlike other species, his vital signs barely fluctuated even during strenuous testing. His heart rate remained steady. His responses were controlled. "This is unusual," Lyra muttered, examining the holographic data. Most humans would panic at even a minor neurological probe. She decided to escalate. The pain tolerance protocol was a controversial set of tests, rarely administered to humans. It involved controlled exposure to stimuli designed to elicit physical discomfort while measuring neurological and hormonal responses. Most species could endure only 2 cycles before the pain overwhelmed them. Lyra activated the first sequence. Sparks of violet energy danced along Thomas's forearm as a neural stimulator measured pain responses. "Report," she demanded, her antennae twitching with curiosity. Thomas exhaled and said calmly, "Sensation registered. Tolerable." Lyra's jaw nearly dropped. She increased the intensity. Voltage surged, sending waves of sharp discomfort through his arm. Thomas's eyes watered slightly, but his voice remained steady. "Still manageable." By the 5th sequence, Lyra was taking notes obsessively. Her colleagues, observing through the glass partition, whispered in astonishment. "This human, he's enduring more than any species we've tested," said one xenobiologist. Lyra's pride transformed into irritation. No human could withstand this much pain without showing signs of panic. And yet, here he was, smiling faintly as if this were a mild inconvenience. Chapter 3. The Challenge. Lyra, ever competitive, decided to administer the ultimate pain evaluation, a protocol she had never seen a human survive. The test would simulate injuries, trigger neural shocks, and even manipulate the sensory cortex to mimic excruciating agony. "You understand, Captain Kade," Lyra said, voice sharp. "This is for scientific purposes. Failure is not an option. Many species break within minutes. I expect the same from you." Thomas nodded. "Understood. I'll do my best." Test began. Energy arcs lanced across his skin. Pain receptors fired, and his mind was flooded with simulated injuries. Burns, fractures, nerve damage. Each sensation should have triggered screams, panic, and hormonal spikes that would have been catastrophic. And yet Thomas endured. Minutes stretched into hours, or perhaps hours into minutes. Lyra had lost all sense of time. Her data pads filled with readings she had never encountered. Thomas's neurological signals remained steady. Endorphins regulated perfectly. Heart rate and respiration stayed within safe parameters. Lyra's disbelief morphed into fascination. No species had ever endured this. No human, no alien. Nothing. She had misjudged them. Why are you not breaking?" she demanded, her voice almost trembling. Thomas, breathing steadily, said simply, "Because I can. 'Cause I have to. Pain is temporary. Survival is necessary." Those words. They reverberated in her mind like a shockwave. Chapter 4. Testing limits. Lyra was now obsessed. She designed a sequence of extreme tests, combining physical, psychological, and neurological challenges. Each one pushed Thomas further. Simulated fractures, extreme heat exposure, sensory deprivation, isolation in low-gravity chambers, even controlled neural dissonance meant to induce terror. And each time Thomas adapted. He breathed through the pain, focused his mind, and endured. "I can't believe this," Lyra muttered to herself, reviewing the latest neural scans. His pain response was lower than a mature Zerachian predator during hibernation. She realized that humans had a capacity for resilience, endurance, and mental fortitude that she had never comprehended. Her colleagues were stunned. Even Lyra's own species, known for high tolerance and controlled response, had limits. Thomas's limits surpassed theirs. "What drives you?" she finally asked him, curiosity piercing through her professional detachment. "Survival. Responsibility. I refuse to give up because someone expects me to fail," Thomas replied calmly. Lyra froze. His words carried conviction and a logic that could not be argued with. Chapter 5. Unexpected bond. Over time, Lyra's attitude shifted. What began as professional arrogance transformed into grudging respect. She began to see Thomas not as a fragile human, but as a remarkable specimen of resilience. "You are fascinating," she admitted one evening, watching him meditate to recover after the latest round of testing. "I assumed humans were weak, fragile, emotionally and physically incapable. And yet here you are." Thomas smiled faintly. "I think humans surprise even themselves sometimes." Lyra's respect grew, and with it something more. An unusual bond began to form. She began to discuss ethics, philosophy, and survival strategies with him. Their conversations ranged from interstellar diplomacy to personal challenges of maintaining calm under extreme stress. Thomas's perspective, grounded in human experience, challenged her long-held beliefs. She began modifying the tests, not to punish but to understand. Not to break him but to explore the limits of human endurance. And in doing so, Lyra found herself learning more than she expected. Not just about humans but about courage, honesty, and the limits of perception. Chapter 6. The Crisis. Just when their bond seemed established, the station faced a crisis. A solar flare from Zifra threatened to disable the station's energy grid, putting all life aboard in danger. Critical systems failed, and emergency protocols engaged. Thomas immediately sprang into action. He coordinated the alien crew, rerouted energy conduits, and stabilized the life support chambers, all while maintaining his composure amid chaos. Lyra watched in awe as he endured physical exhaustion, sensory overload, and extreme stress, yet remained functional, calculating, and decisive. Even the most experienced Zerachians faltered. You are incredible," Lyra whispered to herself almost reverently. Thomas, despite being human, was outperforming her species in resilience, pain endurance, and leadership under pressure. When the crisis ended, she confronted him. "You survived everything I threw at you, and then handled a station-wide emergency without faltering. How?" Thomas's response was simple. "Pain, stress, danger, they're part of life. What matters is what you do in response, not what happens to you." Her antennae twitched in disbelief. She had been wrong about humans all along. Chapter 7. Respect and Revelation. After the crisis, Lyra and Thomas sat overlooking Zifra's crystal seas. For the first time, Lyra spoke without arrogance, without the veil of superiority. "I misjudged your species," she admitted. "I assumed you were weak, incapable of enduring. But I see now that humans possess a strength even we cannot always comprehend. You have surprised me in every way." Thomas smiled. "I think all species have hidden strengths. Some just need the right moment to show them." Lyra nodded thoughtfully. "You've taught me something, Thomas. Pain is not weakness. Endurance is not only physical. And humility is necessary, even for someone like me." The bond between them had evolved from observer and subject to mutual respect, a shared understanding that transcended species. And for Lyra, the revelation was personal as much as professional. Humans, far from fragile, could endure and adapt in ways her species had never imagined. Chapter 8. Departure. Eventually, Thomas's mission ended. He prepared to return to Earth, leaving Zifra behind. The crew had learned much from him, about resilience, human courage, and the unexpected capacity for endurance. Lyra accompanied him to the transport bay. "Remember this," she said quietly. "Humans are not what I thought. And neither am I." Thomas nodded, feeling a profound respect for the alien doctor who had underestimated him and then learned from him. "I won't forget. Neither will your crew, I hope." Lyra's eyes glimmered with emotion, a rare display for her species. "Perhaps you've changed more than just us." With that, Thomas boarded the pod, leaving the crystalline world of Zifra behind. He had survived every test, every trial, and in doing so had reshaped the perception of his species in the eyes of one of the galaxy's most brilliant minds. Chapter 9. Reflections on Strength. Back on Earth, Thomas looked at the stars differently. Pain was no longer something to fear. Endurance was no longer a measure of fragility. He had proven that humans could withstand far more than others expected. And somewhere in the orbit of Zifra, an alien doctor thought differently about humanity forever. Lyra Ven'kash would remember him, not as a fragile human, but as the one who had surprised her, tested her assumptions, and demonstrated that courage, resilience, and strength were universal, transcending species, planets, and the very limits of perception. Thomas had endured, not through invincibility, but through determination, focus, and the unyielding human spirit. And in doing so, he had rewritten what one alien mind believed possible.